Good evening, all you beautiful people out there. Is there anyone around? I'll give you a couple of minutes. Let anyone come in before we start. Hello, Kate. You alright, Steve? Anyone else? You alright, Steve Bratton? Hi. Yvette? Hi, good evening. It's good to see you. Hello, Karen. Hello, Mary. Good. We're all starting to turn in. Hello, Jane. Good evening. Hi. Well, I wanted to talk to you about the summer solstice, which, as we know, was last night to the early hours of this morning. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Samantha. I make no secret of the fact that I follow a pagan path, okay? But I don't follow it religiously. As in, I don't practice it all the time. There's a lot of things I don't do that I probably should. Good evening, Michelle. No, it takes one to know one. So I don't follow it as I should, perhaps. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how important last night was, because there's lots of different reasons. It was a full moon, which is very strong. Hi, Michael Etherington. It was a full moon, which is very important, and it's got extra power. Now, I'm not going to make any massive, like I normally do, making puppets or anything like that tonight. I'm going to talk to you about altars, because I know a few of you are interested in the mechanics of altars, okay? So I've got it all written down because you know me, I will forget, okay? 2 seconds. Right, let me just deal with this. Right, so, the summer solstice actually this year had a rare celestial phenomenon, okay? It's a solar eclipse, or the first solar eclipse of the decade, okay? And what it did was created a ring of fire. That's not like we would think of a ring of fire in the cheeky way, okay? But it's basically like where the sun goes over the moon, or shadows the moon. So in certain parts of the eastern hemisphere last night, you'd be able to view the eclipse. People on other parts of the world can watch it online, okay? That's what happened. So you could actually Google it and probably find a really good video of it somewhere. So a total solar eclipse, which is what it was when the moon passes directly between the earth and the sun, completely blocking the sun's light. So during the annular solar eclipse, the moon does not completely cover the sun as it passes, so it leaves a glowing ring of sunlight, hence why it's called a ring of fire. As an annual eclipse can only occur under specific conditions, okay? And the moon must be in its first lunar phase, and it must be also further away from the earth on its elliptical orbit, appearing smaller in the sky than it would usually. Because the moon appears smaller under these circumstances, it can't fully block out the sun, and it forms the ring of fire, or the ring of light. It's a hugely powerful time to get rid of things in your life and herald in new beginnings, which we know in all our magic, it's all about intention. So we will be doing, or I'll be doing, my usual, getting rid of stuff, bringing stuff in, you know, new beginnings. It's that time of year. It's that time of the month. So, summer. The gardens are blooming and summer's in full swing. You fire up the barbecue if you're allowed. Turn on the sprinkler and enjoy the celebrations of midsummer. So also it's called Litha. We call it Litha. The Summer Solstice Sabbat, which is what it is, honours the longest day of the year. Alright? So it takes advantage of the extra hours of daylight to spend as much time as you can outdoors. Obviously we are limited to an extent at the moment, but we can still spend time in our own spaces. So depending on your spiritual path, which some you will have spiritual paths and some you won't, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what your spiritual path or what you think, okay? The focus is almost always on celebrating the sun, celebrating the power of the sun. So it's the time of year when the crops are growing and the earth has warmed up. We can spend long sunny afternoons enjoying the outdoors, which we will be this week because the weather's improving, and getting back to nature. Alright, so what I should be doing tonight is having a midsummer's night's fire ritual, but it's a little bit windy out there and I decided that it would make too much noise on the microphone of the computer for me to try and do that and do this at the same time. Alright, but I'm going to do a prayer for Litha, alright, which I'm going to do for you later on. So take advantage of all that this time of year has to offer. You should be gathering your own herbs and making your gardens beautiful. The history is many cultures have honoured gods and goddesses of the sun. And there are also seasonal legend of the battle between the Oak King and the Holly King. The Holly King being the Christmas King, the Oak King being the Summer King. And they have a battle. And who wins then heralds in the dark. And that's what we're doing. We're heralding in the dark days now. We get saying goodbye to the summer. There's a ton of solar magic and myths and legends out there. And many cultures worship the sun as part of religious practices all throughout time. In Native American spirituality, the sun dance is an really important part of their ritual. It's a great time to get outdoors. It's hand fasting season. Now I've been hand fasted. It's the most amazing thing. It's a traditional time for weddings in June. But if you're pagan or Wiccan, a hand fasting ceremony may be more appropriate. It's in a historical context, hand fasting is an old tradition it's beginning to see a resurgence now in popularity. There are plenty of ways of having a magical ceremony that celebrates your spirituality as part of your special day. But hand fasting isn't an actual wedding as such. It's like an engagement. It's almost like a pagan engagement. Or it can be for eternity. You heard people say, I'm tying the knot when they're getting married. Well, it quite literally is that. You're binding ribbons and binding people. You get people who you love you or colours that resonate with you, and you get them all bound together into beautiful ribboned lengths of binding, okay? And that is what, when you hold your hands together, they bind them round your hands, and that's where the original saying, I'm tying the knot, comes from, because you're tying the knot to bind those two hands together. And the married or engaged couple would then keep those bindings as a reminder of their unity. You're uniting two families together. You're not uniting those two hands. And they'd keep that as a reminder. They'd either put it, I don't know, in a picture frame, or I had mine hung up, okay? And mine was adorned with crystals and beautiful things, and things that meant so much to me. And that's the sort of thing that you do in a hand fasting. If you're not sure how to make a hand fasting, you need to make sure you've got someone who is legally able to perform it. I've performed hand fasting before. It was the most amazing thing. And it's personal to you. So if you did something like that, you make the rules. You write the rules. It's your rules to write. What I did is I jumped the broomstick, which is common. You know, like you'd carry the bride over the threshold. Jumping the broomstick is something that they've done for centuries. It doesn't mean it has to be high and you have to break your neck trying to get over it. But I'll talk to you about broomsticks in a minute. So I want to talk to you about altars and in Wicca, witchcraft and paganism. All right. The whirlwind of ideas and inspiration supporting the craft can be overwhelming. There's so much, and so there's no right or wrong way of doing it. Please don't think it's an actual science, because it isn't. It's personal. So best of all, most necessary way to do it is to do it at no cost. All right, the natural way is to make things yourself. Find things, scavenge things, go to charity shops, whatever you have to do, but don't spend a fortune doing it. Because in the fact of you gathering these things together, that is you're putting so much love and intention into that. All right. The untrained eye would never know I have an altar in my house. Never. Because it's spread. It's not in one place. And it's up high, out of the way. It's out of the way of the kids, it's out of the way of the dogs, it's out of the way of everyone. But it's there. And if I ever want grounding, I look at it. Because it's a wonderful tool for grounding. Alright? Wiccans or pagan altars are raised surfaces, okay? There can be desks, tables, on your windowsill. That's a common one. Or on your fireplace. I have a friend who has one on her hearth. Now, what it does is help you keep you grounded, all right? And to allow you to explore your practice. Doesn't mean you're a practicing witch, doesn't mean anything, okay? To choose a covering, or if you wanted to have a covering, I don't have a covering on mine because mine's sort of spread across a few shelves. But if you had a covering, you'd go for a covering, either something that means something to you or something that you change with the season. Something that you change with the colours that are popular at the time of when you're making it. And an altar is a fluid thing. It should move. It should change. It is as it is. All right. So traditional Wiccan tools is an athame. Right, now, I was given my athame, and he might even be here, Craig. Craig Ogilvie gave me my athame. Okay, that's my athame. These are traditionally used for if you're doing candle magic or anything like that and you want to carve anything out. This one's not sharp at all. But it sits on my altar. Alright. Next is a broom. Well, my broomstick's huge. So it doesn't go on my altar because it wouldn't have hope in hell. But I'll show you it in a minute. Then I've got candles. Right, well, I go for candles and I'll explain more about that in a little while. A little cauldron. You don't have to have a cauldron. It could be an ashtray. It doesn't have to be what you think it would be. A chalice. This is my chalice. You see it's got the triple goddess on it. Yeah? And it's silver, it's got the moons. Alright, well, I resonate well with the moon anyway. So that's on my altar. You then have incense, right? Now, I've always got incense. Incense is burning now. Incense is always burning in my house. I burn Nag Champa, that's just me. A pentacle or pentagram. Well, my altar, I've got a posh one. Because somebody bought me this for my birthday, for my 50th. See, and it's got the triple moon, which I resonate with, the mother, the maiden, the crone, and the pentagram, okay? And it's got it all mirrored up. Alright, but you could have it drawn on a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be anything posh, alright? Anything, obviously that's probably the most expensive thing on my altar. Now a wand, the jury's out for me on a wand, alright? Years and years ago I used to make wands and sell them at fairy festivals. Not convinced, because you can work just as well with an athame or anything. But what I have on mine is I have this. This is actually belonged to Don Styler, and it's a Native American rattle. Alright, now there's a lot of reasons I have that. One, because it means a lot to me. Two, because it can double up. Three, because it's got feathers on it. Four, because it represents air, or movement, and it also represents nature. Alright, so I love this. So while these things are the normal things you'd have, they're no means required. You don't need those things. Every altar is unique and should reflect the personality, interests, aesthetic goals of the creator, what you're looking to aspire to, what you'd like to take into your life. Whatever you feel you need, or whatever you feel you want, then you can put that on your altar. Alright? In addition to the traditional components, you could have an assembly of different things: minerals, crystals and rocks, live plants, dried herbs, flowers, animal remains, never been into that, jewellery if it means a lot to you, drawings and sigils. I'd like to do a workshop on sigils at the next full moon, if anyone's interested in that. I'd like to teach you how to write sigils. Okay, it's pretty easy, but I'll teach you how to do it. Then anything else you want to include, really. So many items can be used, but generally with little or no cost. Now that you're familiar with the types of items used in the creation of an altar, you can begin to assemble your own. But you need creativity and innovation, and you can create a highly personal thing, altar for yourself. The first task you undertake is if you want to put something on your altar as a cloth. In most cases, you can use anything that's relative to the season. So if it's summer, you might want bright colours. In autumn, you might want autumnal colours, anything like that. Depending on the living situation, you may have access to a variety of tables in your home, if not in your garage, all right? Or you could have anything that could serve as it. The older, more weathered tables you might find would be from second-hand shops. I actually made the mistake of using a tree stump once, which then I found created mould all over my floor. So no, don't do that. Not unless you put something underneath it. If you want to have it in a permanent basis, you can, or you can hide it away. It depends how much you want people to know about your beliefs or the way you live your life. For me, it's there, but I don't draw attention to it. So many people choose to position their altar according to the directions, so north, south, east and west. A lot of rituals involve the practitioner facing north, so they prefer to have their altar facing north. Others choose to face their altar east or west to honour the rising sun or the setting of the sun. It all depends on what you want. Direction doesn't bother me. Direction isn't important to me. Adorn your altar with some classic Wiccan tools. So the athame, which we've spoken about. It could be a pocket knife passed down from a relative. It could be your favourite kitchen knife with a wooden handle that's embellished. Or you could wrap it with some fabric, or make it something that can look completely different. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. It doesn't have to be anything that you've shelled out a lot of money for. It's better if it matches to you, if it's something that means something to you. If you're an artist, you could decorate it or paint it, or if you're crafty, you could have a lot of fun with it. Mine was given to me by Daniel. Brooms, right, this will make you laugh. This is my broom. Now this is made out of wood from Don Styler's, okay, from my favourite place. And it's decorated with my favourite colours, okay. It's got bells, good for witches. It's got a witch bottle. It's got crystals, yeah. It's got signs from my tarot cards. It has Wiccan signs. It's got lace, but all the different trees, all different, because that's me. I don't like the run of the mill. So I went and I collected them together and I bound them using sisal rope, and I created this. This was beautiful. This was given to me. Anything that means anything, all right, is on this broom. Now obviously I don't use it to sweep up, but it's kept in my house as good luck, all right. And this hangs in my lounge, actually, over my kitchen door. It is also good luck to have a broomstick at your front door. So now you've laughed at my broomstick, which I love because I made it. See, it's quite big, so that's not going to go on my altar, not unless I've got an enormous one. But besoms or brooms are known generally as, when you're doing work with magic, you sweep the floor. It doesn't mean you literally sweep the floor. It means that you're kind of sweeping the energy, all right? It is kind of easy to make. It didn't take long. It was just one of those things. It's picking up the right wood. It's picking up, for me, it was picking up lots of different things and all around the same size. And then just binding them together. Candles are one of the commonest things seen on altars. Use your intuition when picking out the candles. Choose shapes, colours, sizes that appeal to you. If your budget is prohibitive, small candles like tea lights, you can even do that. It doesn't matter. You can buy them in bulk, tea lights, for very cheap. I like to have the representation of the three goddesses. Now, I said to you about this on here, the three goddesses. The waxing moon, the full moon, and the waning moon. The mother, the maiden, the mother, the crone, okay? I'll tell you about them. Each aspect is an energy or an archetype that can be embodied and worked with. The maiden represents the waxing wound. She's the birth of a new cycle. She's a seedling and the fresh energy of youth. She's associated with childhood, innocence, virginity, new beginnings. The maiden's focus is on self-awareness and developing her own strength. The two Sabbats connected with the maiden are Imbolc and Ostara. Her element is air and her season is spring. And her candle colour is white for the maiden, for the virginal one. The mother is the red candle. She represents the full moon, the cycle of maturity, the peak of power and the point of manifestation in the lunar cycle. She's a stage of fruition. The flower, the fruit, the harvest of the land. The mother's focus is about procreating and her ability to grow and nurture something. She's associated with the Sabbats of Beltane, Litha and Lammas, and her element is fire and her season is summer. So her colour's red because we have the menstrual woman. Then you have the crone. Now the crone goddess represents the waning moon and the new moon. She's the end of a cycle and its completion. She's dying earth whose decay brings new life. The crone's focus is that of reflection, reviewing, wisdom, prophecy and transformation. She is closely linked to death, rebirth, psychic awareness, shape-shifting and healing. And the Sabbats associated with the crone are Mabon, Samhain and Yule. Her elements are water and earth, and her seasons are autumn and winter. Now she's the black candle. Now if you've been following my moon groups, you know that I lit a black candle because I see myself as crone, because I'm not of childbearing years anymore. And I have a saying on my arm: dance like the maiden, laugh like the mother, think like the crone. Okay, I resonate heavily with the mother, the maiden, the crone. And my candles on my altar are these. So you've got the maiden, the mother, and the crone. Okay, that's because that's my own personal choice, but you might just want to have white candles. The choice is yours. There is no rules to this. Then you have a cauldron, potentially. Now, these are normally used as cooking vessels over fires, but you employ it for using for burning incense or anything like that. Okay, that would be your main use of a cauldron. But it's just as good to have something that you made in art class when you were a kid, a piece of pottery as a cauldron. It doesn't have to, it could be an ashtray. It doesn't have to be an actual cauldron, although you can buy some very pretty small ones. Alright. Then you have the chalice. Now the chalice conjures images of beautifully crafted goblets, but it doesn't have to be. A chalice is simply a ceremonial drinking vessel that can be anything. A glass, alright, even an egg cup. Anything. Doesn't have to be something posh. Alright, my one is beautiful and it was bought for me. It was a present, and that is my chalice. Pentacle. Incense is known to have a variety of uses, but I also like to have Californian white sage, which is what I use for smudging. So if I need to smudge a house or cleanse a house through with negative energies, I use smudge. Alright, and that is Californian white sage. So that's just as good to have on your altar. So contrary to popular belief, a pentacle is not necessarily a 5-pointed star. It's any talisman upon which a magical image or symbol is drawn, or a sigil. Pentacles tend to be flat and disc-shaped and may be composed of anything. But they can be paper, cloth, they don't have to be anything posh. You could cut a circular disc out of a spare piece of fabric, and then you could sew on a pentacle. It's up to you. A wand. Wands are used to cast spells, direct energy, and create intention. But you can do that with your athame. You don't need to have a wand. But it's all to do with, it's the intention of doing that. It's the intention of putting that out there. Like brooms and pentacles, wands can be created from a piece of wood that you pick up when you're out walking the dog. It could be a branch of a tree. It could be anything. I've picked up bits of wood before when I've been wandering about. It's anything. Because although you shouldn't take it off a tree, it should always be the ones that have fallen. So over time you may select a branch from a particular plant that you may want to use for that. A fallen branch of any size or quality, but anything as long as it fits on your altar. Add some additional personal elements to your altar. So I'd like minerals, crystals and rocks. I always have minerals, crystals and rocks around my altar. That's personally me. I like to charge my crystals. I like to leave them around the altar. Now, I also like to have things that stand for air, fire, water, okay, and earth. So you can have anything. So for earth, you could have, which is the direction of north. You could have anything green. It's a feminine sign. Salt, stone, crystal, soil, anything you like. Anything that comes from the earth will represent earth. I've got some really beautiful stones here. Okay, and they'll sit on my altar, and you might think that's just a rock, but you'll know where it came from. You'll know that it has a meaning to you. And you've got fire. Okay, well your symbol of fire is simple, it's a candle, or incense as well, but it's for the south. The fire is for south, and it's for summer, and it's masculine, believe it or not. Okay, then you have air, which is the east, which is spring, and it's masculine again, but it's a yellow colour, so that's the colour of that. And you might have for air the knife, you might have a wand, you might have a feather. You see, I have feathers on my altar. Then you have water. Now water, the element of, is for the west, okay, and that's the feminine, okay, and the colour is that for that is blue. So you have the cup, the cauldron, plants, flowers, seashells. Seashells are always good. Anything else you want to add in, you can. I like to also include, to depict some masculine and some feminine on the altar. So for the unity of the horn god and the triple goddess. So you've got the masculinity of the colours, you've got the masculinity of the athame, you've got all those things, okay, which are representing the male and the female. I did used to have two small discs, one with a feminine sign, one with a masculine sign. You could have a yin and yang sign, the masculine and the feminine, the black and the white. That could be on there. For Litha, because you should change your altar a little on the season. So for Litha, for now, the animals are the butterfly, the bee, the wren, the robin and the snake. It's all about transformation. It's all about change. So you might want to represent one of these animals on there. The colours are gold, red, orange, blue, yellow and green. There's quite a lot of choice. You might want to change your altar cloth accordingly. All summer fruits and vegetables, ale and mead, honey cakes, red wine, strawberries, anything like that, you could put on the altar. Obviously they wouldn't stay on there very long, but you could put them on there for a while. Herbs and plants, mugwort, vervain, chamomile, rose, honeysuckle, lily, lavender, ivy, any of those things, you can put them on there. You can put anything you like on there, but this is just ideas for Litha. St. John's wort. At summer solstice, the sun's reached its zenith in the sky and is as close to us in the northern hemisphere as it will ever get before it starts its slow descent, leading us back into winter. At summer solstice, St. John's wort is at its height in flowering, and its flowers, full of stamens, look like rays bursting from the sun. Okay, they are beautiful flowers. You might want a little bit of magic put on there, some sigils connected to magic. I'll do sigils with you, as I said. If you're interested, I'll do it at the next group. Then you have gems, amber, tiger's eye, jade, emerald. They're all connected to Litha. The solar system, the sun. I have a sun. I haven't brought it up actually. I have a sun which is beautifully ornate, and that will be on there. The element is fire. Well, you've got your candles. The trees. So if you wanted to get a piece of wood, a piece of bark on your travels, it would be beech, elder, holly, laurel, linden or oak. Okay. So, as is all of my full moon groups and everything, I need you to get a pen and paper, and I need you to write something you want to get rid of and something you want to bring into your life. And then I want you to burn it, okay, and make sure it burns completely. So I'm going to recycle some of this paper, but you have to write it as if you've already got it. And another thing you have to do, if you did my vision board, which is another thing that I have around, is we lit the candle, and this is the candle from that, which you should light at every full moon, okay, and leave it lit just for a little while, and imagine yourself getting all those things that you want from your vision board. Imagine as if you've already got them. I digress. So, writing. You want to write, there's something you want to get rid of, but you have to write it as if you've already got rid of it. So you have to say thank you to the universe. So I want to get rid of negativity. I think I do that every time. So I'll say thank you. I'm writing it as we speak. Thank you for removing negativity from my life. Okay, then think of something you want to bring into your life. So something that you really like. I obviously don't expect £1 million because it's not going to happen, or the lottery numbers. I wish it would. But something you want to bring into your life. I want to bring happy memories, good times to come. Yeah, happier times. So I'm going to say thank you for bringing me happiness. Okay, then that will get burnt. Okay, and I'll make sure it goes completely, because you make sure it burns through completely. Ideally you do it in a fire ceremony, but in the lack of having a fire tonight, I will go outside and I will burn it using a lighter. But I'll make sure I do it tonight, because it's a full moon, because it's summer solstice, or it was last night. Okay, so I was going to do a little Litha prayer with you, and I will put it on the comments, and it's worth saying it. Okay, so Litha Prayer. I draw the summer sun into my soul and hold my power high today, as solstice energy courses through my veins and connects to the ancients, my ancestors, and all who have gone before. I am divinely alive. I feel the warmth of my beloved sun as it rays dance upon my skin on this, the longest day of the year. So, I'll do it again. I draw the summer sun into my soul and hold my power high today, as solstice energy courses through my veins and connects to the ancients, my ancestors, and all who have gone before. I am divinely alive. I feel the warmth of my beloved sun as its rays dance upon my skin on this, the longest day of the year. Blessed be. So, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about altars and learning the kind of things that I would put on my altar. I would put things like my poppet that we made last time. My little poppet, my healing poppet. You go on my altar. Or it stay in my bedroom where I can see it all the time. So an altar, you could have several, you might have one. But make it good and make it how you want it to be. And it can be as obvious and it can be as hidden as you like. It's personal to you. But don't spend a lot of money on it, because it means so much more when you create it from nothing. Alright? So I'm going to leave you and I'm going to go and burn my intentions. And I hope you enjoyed tonight. And I hope you would like me to do another moon group another day, and we'll maybe do sigils. I'll teach you how to write magical sigils. I think that's the next step. Alright, I hope you're all still there and you've not all fallen asleep on me. But catch up whenever you get a chance. And love you lots. And you can record this, you can replay it anytime you like, okay? But happy solstice and blessed be.